Yesterday was the special election in Montana for Congress. We had Greg Gianforte versus Rob Quist. Gianforte is the Republican, Quist is the Democrat. Now, the day before the election, Gianforte made quite a bit of news because he committed assault against a reporter. And there's an audio recording of it, and there was many eyewitnesses who witnessed it. So the breakdown of that situation is you had Ben Jacobs, a reporter for The Guardian, walk up to Gianforte, put the little audio recorder up for him, like any reporter would do with any politician. And he asked him, hey man, like the CBO score on this new version of Trump Care has 23 million more people uninsured than even the House version, which had a tremendous number of people uninsured. How can you vote for it? How can you support it? Because he says he supports it. And Gianforte more or less goes, hey, come on, man. Come on. Oh, I hate when you do that. Oh, and you hear all this scuffling. And come to find out after the fact, he body slammed him. He punched him, he broke his glasses. Every reporter in the room, including the right-wing Fox News reporters, said, yeah, there was not a single sign of aggression from Ben Jacobs. There was just an assault, an offensive act of physical violence from Gianforte against Ben Jacobs. Broke his glasses and everything. Now, this actually isn't even a first in terms of his character, Gianforte. Apparently, there were reports of he's always been a hothead. There were reports of him storming out of business meetings, creating a scene. Everybody going like, what is wrong with that guy? So he really has like anger problems. And it was so bad that even the sheriff who donated $250 to Gianforte's campaign, they had to charge him with misdemeanor assault. They probably should have gone a little further. I mean, and also, by the way, there's a local news station that has the video of it, and they refuse to release it. Okay, that news station should just universally be condemned by everybody, and everybody should say, oh, you're not a news station, you're a propaganda outlet. Because you want to talk about something that's fucking newsworthy, body slamming of a reporter by a candidate the day before the election, and they go, we're not going to release it. So then you're not news. Shut the fuck up and stop pretending like you are. Just admit we're a Republican propaganda outlet. That's what we are. So anyway, we played the audio for you. The audio is absolutely ridiculous. We are officially now living in the movie The Campaign. I mean, Donald Trump is president, and he got elected after he said, we have to take out their families, meaning kill the family members of ISIS, innocent civilians, not ISIS themselves. He said, I grab him by the pussy, I don't even wait, got elected. He's a reality star buffoon. And then now we have this guy, body slammed a reporter, and won. I warned you about it yesterday. I told you, there were some people who were getting ahead of themselves, and they were like, well, it's great now that Rob Quist is going to win. I said, whoop, pump your brakes, buddy. Pump your brakes. That's a seat that's been Republican since 1996. And we've seen in recent history, it almost doesn't matter what a candidate does. If you're in a place that is that immensely partisan, it's still likely that he's going to win. He was up in the polls. The Republicans held that seat since 1996. Not everybody's going to hear about the body slam, There's a million factors that go into it. You know what I was reminded of? Scott Desjardins. I don't know if you guys remember him. I think he's a congressman from Louisiana, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on the state. It could be a different state. And he ran on a family values platform, but we found out later he had a mistress, actually had multiple mistresses, and he made his mistress and his wife get abortions. Plural. There was an S there. Abortions. So, had a mistress, making everybody get abortions. He's a doctor. He prescribed drugs for the sole purpose of getting high to his mistresses. Caught red-handed in all this. Ran on a family values platform. Reelected. People, he says he's pro-life, even though he made his mistress get an abortion and his wife get an abortion. He says he's against drugs, even though he's prescribing drugs so people get high. What are you going to do? So with stories like that, my point is, that's just why I warned you yesterday. What, you think this guy can't win after he commits assault? He just won. So John Forte finished with about 51%, 50 to 51% of the vote. Quist had about 44% of the vote. There's one other candidate in there who got a tiny sliver. Now, a lot of factors go into this. There was a tremendous amount of early voting that happened before the incident, and Quist had little help from national Democrats. You can definitely point those things out as factors, but there's still no excuse. I'm not here to make excuses. I'm not here to say, oh, yeah, sure, there's a logical reason why the guy who committed assault won. I mean, there's things you can explain away parts of it. Definitely doesn't explain away the whole picture. A guy who committed assault the night before the election won. And but I want to give you one more piece of information here. This is one of the biggest factors. Take a look at this. This is basically super PAC money. This is outside spending, so that's super PACs. You have from outside spending groups against John Forte, $656,423. And you have $5.6 million spent against Rob Quist and for Greg John Forte. So the Democrat, $656,423. The Republican, $5.6 million. That has real world consequences. So in other words, even though Quist was raising in individual donations, many individual donations, small donations from around the country, he was basically drowned out by big money. And remember, John Forte is a billionaire with connects to big money donors. So all it takes is one outside group, one super PAC to cut one billionaire to cut a giant check in the race. And then that, it could be such a gigantic amount that even with all these people raising little bits of money at a time, small donations, you can see the results here in terms of spending. Now, having said all that, I still say there's no excuse. I could point to charts and little bits of information all day about, hey, man, look, this is one factor, this is another factor. Oh, he was massively outspent from outside spending. We can go into all the little nooks and crannies. At the end of the day, the people of Montana just voted pretty overwhelmingly for a guy who committed assault the day before. So, even though you should bring up for context all the other reasons that go into it, there's absolutely no excuse for that. And, it was last night that I came to the sad realization that, yeah, there are some people who would literally look at a Republican, get on a desk, pull their pants down, and take a shit, and go, yeah, he's standing up to the liberals. Watch the liberal media go crazy over this. I love me some liberal tears. Look at the liberal tears. Oh, y'all just mad because he took a shit on a desk? Why would y'all be mad at that? Everybody takes a shit. I take a shit. You take a shit. Everybody shits. And so what? He did it on a desk. That's a little different from a toilet, but is that really that crazy? He's just standing up to PC culture. He's just politically incorrect, and you're getting mad at him because he's politically incorrect. It's a natural thing that man's doing right there. I don't know why y'all be mad. That doesn't change anything in this race. I like him even more now. He raised like $100,000 last night after the body slam. So there's the so-called troll culture. I just want everybody to know this. The so-called troll culture, like they think they're that's what they are at their core, is like, yeah, we're just trolling people and aren't we cool? No, you've now become idiots. Like, I look at you and I laugh. I think like, oh, you're just like dumbasses. Because there's nothing. There's nothing that would make them go, you know what? I actually do have morals, and I have red lines where I go, you know what? If you commit assault, I don't think you're a very quality person. And in fact, I think you're a bad person. You're an unethical person. You're an immoral person. So no, I rule you out as a result of that. They don't have those lines. Just anything that, I triggered the other side because they're all mad that he took a shit on the desk. Liberal pussies. So you're not like, oh, aren't we cool and aren't we with it? We're like, the new punk rock. We're the troll culture. No, you're a group of fucking idiots who you're not for anything. You're just against shit. I'm against liberals. Damn social justice warrior PC pussy. That's what I'm against. Well, congratulations. You like guys who commit assault. And then, by the way, flip the scenario. If it was the other way around, could you imagine it was a Democrat who committed assault the day before the election? How quickly they would fucking... Are you kidding me? They would say this is the biggest thug in history. Imagine it was a black Democrat who committed assault the day before the election. They would flip on a dime. So this is just... You're not trolls. You're not cool. You're just idiots. Okay? And lest you say to me, like, well, Kyle, where's your moral red lines? You're here lecturing people on the right about it. I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. Why didn't I vote for Hillary Clinton? Because I had moral red lines. That was one of the main reasons. Now, granted, I also live in a safe state, and that's another giant factor. And I do think her opponent was a greater evil. But they both didn't pass my moral red line test. Donald Trump bragging about how he's going to bring back torture, saying he's going to kill civilians on purpose. The list goes on of the things where I was like, oh, okay, that guy's disqualified. Hillary Clinton, she voted for the Iraq War, which killed minimum 200,000 people. So I looked at that and I said, oh, and she voted for the Patriot Act, which took away our constitutional rights. She supported deregulation of Wall Street. She was for TPP, for NAFTA. All these like moral red lines where I'm like, oh, I'm not going to vote for that. That's fucking crazy. Why would I? She crossed the moral red lines. But apparently for many people, assaulting a reporter the day before the election doesn't cross a moral red line. And remember, this is the same crowd that also loves to say, yeah, the liberals are against the First Amendment and free speech and a free press. That's what they're against. Free expression, man. A reporter asked a question and got assaulted, and now all of a sudden they go, yeah, no, I'm on the side of the guy who assaults reporters. So you're okay with somebody who now is in the government, a representative, assaulting reporters. So stop pretending you believe in the First Amendment and free speech and free expression and a free press. You don't. You very clearly do not. It's never been more clear than anything ever that is the definition of not being in favor of free speech and free expression and a free press.